Welcome to The Creative Push, an intimate and diverse podcast for creators. Here, artists and makers of all kinds share tips, knowledge, advice, and inspiration that you can learn from. I'm your host, Sherry O'Neill, a photographer, artist, and educator. This podcast is part of my Learn and Create platform, helping artists further their education through creativity, art, and business. Hey, Kurt, welcome to The Creative Push. I'm glad you're here, and welcome to the Bands at the Barn.
It's a great spot. Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and why you chose music as a creative path.
I think music chose me. I was 2-3 years old, learning how to talk, and I was singing. So whatever my dad was playing around the house, he's a music lover. So when I was 4, he started me on classical piano lessons. And I did that for 15 years, 3 hours a day, every day, all the state competitions. I went to high school for it, at least for the first half of freshman year. But music has always just been in my blood. I grew up in Boca Raton, Florida. And then when I was a freshman at Florida State in 2012, my parents moved to Vero Beach, Florida. So about an hour and a half up the road.
And did you do music all through high school?
I did. I was in the jazz band. I played all my classical piano stuff. But high school is when I kind of pivoted a little bit more towards singing, playing guitar. I taught myself how to play guitar. You know, I always say you can't bring your piano, your baby grand to a high school party and play for the girls. That's kind of what I did. I just started to learn songs that people really wanted to hear, which was kind of the ultimate goal. My dad started me on classical piano because he knew that Billy Joel and Elton John and guys like that, that's what their foundation was. But he always wanted me to be a singer, a pop star, or a country artist or something like that.
Now, did anybody else in your family have a musical background?
No.
So did you choose that on your own, or did your dad choose that for you?
It's always been the thing that I've loved. It's music and the ocean. And
3 years old, that's young.
Yeah, I started earlier. I always loved it. It's just kind of...
Did they start by giving you like one of those little keyboards or something?
Yeah, they found me a little cheap electric keyboard, and I had it, and I was, learn the scales and learn Mary Had a Little Lamb and all that kind of stuff. Getting started out like that was cool, but he saw that I loved it, and he kind of facilitated it. So a little bit of both.
So after college, you stayed in Florida, or you relocated, or?
So yeah, I went to Florida State 2012 through 2016. Great time. I had a band, played 3 days a week all over the state. Played at fraternity parties, sorority parties, opening up for the band Perry, Dustin Lynch, Jake Owen. And then I graduated 2016. But before I graduated, the William Morris Endeavor company here in town, they're a global company. They saw that I was playing all these opening acts for their, on their bills for their big artists in Florida. And they were like, who is this kid? And I guess they checked me out, liked what I was doing. I had put out a little EP. They flew me up here before I moved here. And they said, we want you to finish your last 6 months of school, but, you should move here right away. And we want to help you out getting gigs and, building your career. So I moved here probably not even a month after I graduated. Drove on up, and I've been here ever since.
And so that was 2016. You relocated to Nashville.
Yep.
What kind of ride has that been since you've been here?
It's been great. I mean, well, there's ups and downs. I got to say there's ups and downs. It hasn't been as easy as I thought it was going to be when I wasn't even here yet, and I had the biggest booking agency in the world telling me that to move here and that they're going to help me and book me and do all this stuff. And they did a lot of that. I had a pretty good trajectory, and then COVID came around. And they pretty much stopped dealing with up-and-coming artists. It was a really tough time for them, for any booking agency. They couldn't do anything. Since then, I've been kind of more on my own, writing a lot more, recording a lot more. And now I'm set to kind of release a lot of the stuff I've been working on for the last few years.
Do you write all your songs?
Yeah.
And during COVID, how did you get through that?
Probably for 8 months of it, I was in Florida. I was in my parents' house.
Yeah.
I met a girl who's now my girlfriend that we live together up here now. She is from Vero Beach. Okay. So she had an apartment. So I was either at my parents' house or crashing at her apartment. And I was playing gigs, outdoor shows. So I was staying busy. I was writing songs via Zoom. I was taking my boat out every day, and I was going to the beach. And it was a good little time for me personally, but a really, really bad time for the world. And as nice as it was kind of being down there, I would have rather, obviously, that didn't happen and kind of stay getting booked by big booking agencies. And, they were booking me tons of shows, and I was, slotted for some opening acts and, all that kind of stuff. So I made the best of it.
Is there one thing that you wish you had known when you got started that would have helped you along your path?
I'm still grinding on it and working away, but it's the social media thing is just, I think I missed it being second nature, by like a year or two. Like, because now the artists that are a little bit younger than me, it's like they live and breathe it, and it's like a reflex. Whereas it's almost foreign to me. And, you pick up your phone and you're going to, even, I'll go outside and like, hey, everybody, I'm playing at a barn party tonight, this and that. Like, it's always like, it's a weird little mentality that you have to put on that
you got to remember to do it.
You got to remember to do it is pretty much all it is. Yeah. So for me, it's, I've always been a living in the moment person, and that social media aspect of being an artist and promoting your craft on social media and how dependent it is on TikTok or Instagram, the living in the moment aspect of your life kind of goes away. You have to stop and film everything and make sure the lighting's right, whatever it is. Yeah. That's what I don't like about it, but I have to do it, and I'm getting better at it, and I'm getting more used to it. But if I would have just focused on that more, I think it would have helped a lot. During COVID, I was doing Facebook Live, and I was doing a concert for 2 hours, 2-3 times a week from my living room in Florida. And I had all the people that follow me on Facebook were watching me, this and that. But I didn't know TikTok was just really starting out. If I would have been doing that on TikTok, the algorithm at that time was like, you could get tons of exposure. And I probably would have 500,000 followers right now. If I would have known a little earlier about TikTok instead of using Facebook Live, I think that would have made a big difference.
Now, do you have a label? Are you working with a label?
No, right now I'm totally independent. A good buddy of mine who owns a publicity company in town, and they do some management stuff as well. He's helping me a little bit with distribution with some of my new music that I'm putting out. But as of right now, I'm 100% independent.
So social media is your jam.
That's all I got, and I'm using it. It's great. Even just today, I put out a song last summer called Sunshine State of Mind. It's a song that I've had out for a year, but just even in the last 24 hours, there's been like 300 TikToks made using the sound. So it's like stuff like that. That's the magic of social media. There is a good side to it. I mean, you can take someone that nobody knows and make them into a global sensation. And
so you're doing all your own marketing. Do you find that TikTok's the best platform for you?
It's the one that seems to be working the most for musicians that are trying to find their audience. Okay. Whereas Instagram is kind of limiting as far as how many views you get and all that. Right. TikTok has that as well. They're both similar, but it seems like that's the one that has broken artists in the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Absolutely.
You got Nate Smith, Bailey Zimmerman, Ashley Cook, like those cats that are, they're really great. And TikTok is where they got their launch. So
who are your influences?
I would say growing up, Elvis was kind of my hero. I was dressed up in all the leather outfit that he had for his comeback special. Was that for Halloween for a few years, and then Johnny Cash and Elton John, and then it moved to Kenny Chesney. I saw him in 2011, and changed the whole world for me.
So would you say country is your primary kind of form of music? Or?
I would say it comes out of me that way. For me, if you want to be authentic, as people say, that term's thrown around a lot. I write from the heart, and if you're writing from the heart, you can only really write things that you know about, that you've experienced yourself. So I'm not really writing songs about waiting for the rain to fall because the field is drying up, right. And I love those. Some of those songs, will make me cry. I just haven't lived that. Yeah. So for me, I write things that I've lived.
What is your technique, your writing technique?
I have a whole notepad of ideas in my phone, and it'd just be a conversation like this, and somebody will say something, or something will be said on the TV, or whatever it might be, and I'll write a title down, or I'll write an idea down, and I'll just have it in there, and then I'll have a write booked on Tuesday morning, and then on Monday I'll look through my notes and be like, this is an idea I thought about 2 weeks ago that I think would be good for this group of people that I'm going to write with. And we'll sit down, and I'll tell them the backstory of where I heard it and what I think the song should be about. And then it goes to, okay, this is a song, say it's a sad song. Musically there's chord progressions and a vibe that has to go with that. So then it starts, either I sit down on the piano or I get on the guitar and I'll figure out a chord progression and something that feels like that song without any words even being written yet. Or sometimes I'll write a verse to nothing. And
you have an idea of what the song might be about.
Yeah. Okay. But it's always that pairing, melodies and chord progressions to what that what the song is supposed to feel like. So it just goes from there. And then, sometimes we finish it, and I've written a song, like a song that I put out called Seasick. I wrote it in 25 minutes when I first moved to Nashville. I was really homesick and I missed the beach, and I wrote it like that. And by myself, no co-writers. Or then there will be times where I'll be with, 2 or 3 other guys and or girls, and we'll sit down, and it'll take us 3 hours to get through the first half of the song, and we're burnt out, and we say, all right, let's come back to this next week, and then we'll finish it. And in 20 minutes the following week.
Do you feel like there's a difference in your writing style, writing with piano versus guitar?
Not really. I think both of them, I know guitar only because of piano. So my guitar playing is sort of like if somebody who didn't really know how to play piano that well, how they would play piano is kind of how I play guitar. I'm not a great guitar player. I never got guitar lessons. So my knowledge of guitar is really just my knowledge of piano that I execute not nearly as well as I do on the piano. So they're pretty much the same.
What does creativity mean to you?
That's a great question. I think it's making something out of nothing and making something that has not ever existed before, and that really like real great creativity in its finest form. If I write a song, that song, if I write it perfectly, could only be written by me and maybe my co-writers. It's an experience or something that I felt, that I saw, that I witnessed, that I lived, and I created it. But if that doesn't really resonate with other people, then it's still creative, but it doesn't, it's a creativity, and connection is what I'm chasing. Mm-hmm. So, anybody can be creative within their own little realm and paint and never let anybody see their painting, which is fine if it's a cathartic outlet for them and they want to do that. And sometimes I'll write a song that I don't really want anyone to hear, but the creativity to me is, it's just creating, making something out of thin air.
Are your songs primarily full-on experienced things, or do you make up?
Mostly experienced things. I do make up some stories. I say there's a song that I'll play later tonight called Sandcastle that I say I haven't lived it yet, and I hope I never do. But it's about a guy who moved to Miami and got a little beach bungalow with his wife, and they thought they were living the dream life, and he was fishing every day and whatever, and then she wanted a divorce and ended up taking his rods and his boat from him. So I say I haven't lived it, but I hope I never do. But it's
a man's worst nightmare.
It's right? A man's worst nightmare. So I could imagine that happening, but there's a few of the songs like that. But most of my songs are things I've experienced or things I've said or overheard that that I could personally relate to. Right. And I feel like that's just that's my way of connecting with people. Because if you do write a good song that people can relate to, that's the goal, really. If you're going to be a commercial act.
What inspires you or motivates you? Like, what is it that when you get up out of bed every day because it's hard being self-employed and doing your own thing. What is it that you find kind of gives you that spark? I could make it short, but I have a life event that happened when I was 15 with music that kind of set me on this path. My mom's, one of her best friends was this woman, Terry, and her daughter, Kelly, was my little sister's best buddy. And she was a single mom. She'd bring Kelly over, and she would sit there and have a glass of wine on the couch. And as the girls were playing, I'd be practicing piano. She would just sit on the couch and listen to me. And that was right when I started teaching myself how to sing, and I was playing some pop songs in addition to Beethoven and Chopin and all that stuff. And she was the first person besides my parents that were like, Kurt, you're so good. You're going to be so great. Just keep it up. Like, I know you're such a great singer. And she'd come over, a couple times a week and just listen. And she had cancer, and she beat it. And then it must have came back and nobody knew. And she was like one of these life of the party ladies that just like, positivity oozing out of her. Mm-hmm. And I guess, I don't know. I don't know if she didn't want the pity or didn't want anyone to know, but she didn't tell anybody that she was getting really sick. And she came over one day, and I was on the piano bench, and she said, Kurt, come here. And I got up off the bench, and I went to the kitchen, and my mom was in the corner crying her eyes out. And I've never seen my mom cry like that, like maybe a couple times. So I was like a little worried. And I said, Terry, yeah, what's up? Like, what can I do? And, like, do I need to walk your dog for you tomorrow? Like, how old were you then?
I was 14 or 15. Mm-hmm. And she said, I got to ask you a huge favor. And I'm like, what's up? She goes, would you please do me the honor of singing at my service? And I'm like a kid, So it hit me hard. I was like, connected the dots, like, wait, time out. Like, we're all crying. I'm like, of course, I don't know what to say. So she was really sick. She had a couple weeks. So I said, of course, anything for you. Like, I don't even know what to say. And so later that night, my dad and I were talking. We're like, we got to do something special. Like, let's write a song for her. So we sat down, and she loved Elton John. And Elton John wrote this beautiful song that Bernie Taupin Elton wrote, Candle in the Wind, about Marilyn Monroe. And I thought it was just perfect, but, I wanted to make it for her. And it just so happened that her name is Terry Jean. So instead of Goodbye Norma Jean to start the song off, it's Terry Jean. And we wrote all the verses specifically for Terry and her life and her family and people's names in it and everything, and left the choruses. But that was the first song I ever wrote. And then I played Imagine all the time by John Lennon for her, and she loved it. So I wrote that song with my dad, and I saw her one more time, and I told her, like, Terry, I can't believe this is happening. I love you so much. We miss you. We're gonna miss you. And she said, it's okay, but thank you so much for doing this. But this is the greatest gift I could ever give you. She said that to me, like on her deathbed, which I was like, I didn't know how to handle. I didn't know what she meant. I thought it was kind of like a weird thing to say. Yeah. Like, this is horrible. Like, you're one of our best friends. Right. So I kept like thinking about that over and over for the next week or so until she passed away, and then her service came, and I was going through a period of time where these recitals that I was doing on the piano were, 30 pages by memory in a dark room with judges that I couldn't see. And I had like major performance anxiety because I had a couple of recitals in a row where I kind of lost my place in the song and I messed up. And I had never messed up before. So I had been messing up at these recitals, and I had this performance anxiety, and I didn't want to mess up at her funeral service. So I was really nervous. I was practicing, and the day came, and we go to the church, and everybody from my neighborhood's there, mayor's there, the principal's there. It was one of these crazy, 700 person services. So it starts off, the preacher calls me up and says, Kurt's going to open the ceremony. He's going to play Imagine by John Lennon. So I sing, and I'm freaking out. I can't mess up. Made it through. I was shaking. I was crying. You see all her family's there, and a really emotional moment. And I sit back down. Service goes through. And at the very end, they call me back up. Kurt's going to close out the ceremony with a song that he wrote with his father for Terry, called it's his version of Candle in the Wind. So I sit down on piano, play the intro, start singing, and by the end of the fourth or the fifth line, once people heard the words that I had written for her, the whole place erupted in like they all simultaneously watched their dog get hit by a car, like screaming, like wailing, crying. And I didn't mess up. Made it through the song. Afterwards, I was just like, the sense of relief was crazy. And then everybody came up to me. It was like, how did you do that? Like, number one, the words you wrote were amazing. Like, so powerful. And the fact that, you did that, and, you're so young, whatever, like that, you got to keep doing that. And everybody, her family came up to me. My dad still says it's like the proudest day of his life. And then it hit me like, oh my God, how does she have the perspective to like know that now, one, I'll never be nervous again. Because how could you be nervous after making it through something like that? And number two, I know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I need to make the power of that. Like, I don't think I could devote my life to anything else that could be that impactful. Mm-hmm. So since that day, I've been doing, and meaningful to other people's lives. Right. Like what is a life if it has no impact on other people's lives? Right. And for me, I was never really going to be a doctor or anything like that. This has always been, music is what I do. And for me, music is about, making connection with other people and having impact on them. Whether it's a stupid song about being on a boat or it's a sad song about cancer, just to be able to create something that nobody's ever heard before, and to perform it and make people feel something, that's what I've just been devoting my life to and always will. And if it wasn't for that day, I don't know if I would have had that motivator or spark, because the country music grind, especially in Nashville, especially these days, with how much competition there is. I mean, back in the day, there wasn't 100,000 people on TikTok that were country artists. Without that, it would be a lot harder to get through those days where I'm like, what am I doing here? Like,
You ever get stuck?
Yeah, I mean,
What do you do when you get stuck?
I think I get away from it. I either try to go fishing. My sister met a great guy. He's from Kingston Springs, right down the road here, and he's got a creek, and I'll either go out there or I'll just, I'll put on a show about cooking. I love to cook. So I'll make some bread, or I'll make some sourdough for my friends, or I'll make some pizza or some pasta, or open up a nice bottle of wine with my girlfriend. Like, I just get away from it.
Yeah.
Because, you have to have a balance.
Right.
If you don't have a life and everything is just music, 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 music all day long, I feel like, then what are you writing about? Yeah, I know there are artists and writers in town that they can come up with stuff out of thin air, but like for me, I have always had to have like a work life balance. And if I don't, it feels like my creativity suffers from it. So if I get stuck, I remove myself from it, and I won't even listen to music for that day.
What do you see in your future?
I see myself writing songs that are improving every time I write. I see my network of co-writers growing. I see tours around the world.
Will you stay in Nashville for a while?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll always have a place here. I feel like I'll probably ultimately want to raise my kids in Florida, where I'm from. Aside from music, the water, being close to the beach, and close to my family as well, is like super important to me. I want my kids to be raised with a little boat and to catch a snook in their backyard, to be able to go surfing after school. Like, that's just really important to me. So my goal is to kind of, have enough success by the time that happens that I can be back and forth. And maybe have a place down there where I have, a guest house, and I can fly my co-writers in, and we'll have a studio there. And, who wouldn't want to fly away from Nashville for a weekend to go to the beach and write with Kurt, So that's the goal. I mean, just be a national country star, singing songs, writing songs, and going around, connecting with people. It's never really been about like fame for me, because, you see some of the most famous people in the world, and how happy are they?
Yeah.
Like I want to find happiness, and my happiness comes from connecting with people. And, maybe it's all culminated from that moment at the funeral service, but that's my happiness, comes from singing something, even if it's a cover song, and then having someone come up to me with tears in their eyes, crying, like, I'm so happy you play that. That was my dad's favorite song. Whatever. Like, just connecting with people like that transcends money, fame, power, anything. So for me, I'd rather chase that than, and obviously if those other things come along with it, then great, set my kids up for a good future, and, take care of my family and whatever. That's great.
Is there anything you want to learn that you haven't learned yet?
I'd like to become a better piano player, because I put so much time into it for 15 years, 2 or 3 hours a day. And over the last 7 years being here, I have just focused so much on writing and recording and playing out live, that I've kind of neglected my daily piano practicing. So that's something that, like, I'm a little embarrassed of, whereas I used to be able to just sit down and play for 3 hours classical music. Like right now, I don't know what I could play classical that, entertain people for a while. So I'd like to find the time, or manage my time a little bit better, to be able to get back to doing that. Because I think that's a beautiful thing, and that music is timeless, and I love it,
So you said that you market your work through social media.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you could offer someone starting out on a creative path such as yours?
You have to find something that you truly love, whether it's, visual arts and you're painting and you're doing photography, or if you want to do music, if you want to write songs and do what I'm doing and chase a dream, being whether it's a country artist or, R&B or anything, you have to love it, because it's hard and it's so competitive. And there's so many days where, like say TikTok, I'll work for like an hour on this video that I thought was really great, and I pasted all these things together, and I aligned up the audio and everything, and then like it'll get 100 views, and then it's like it's depressing. And there's a very, very small amount of people that are creators that will ever be profitable. I mean, how many major country artists are there? How many country artists are there that are actually making a living, that could pay for their mortgage and their insurance on their car and their everything? Like, I don't know, less than 150?
Yeah.
And think about how hard it is to be a baseball player. There's 40 guys and there's 30 teams. Like,
what we
1,200 people.
What we glamorize is such a narrow
it's so much more narrow than the most narrow things. So you have to be willing, if you're going to chase the dream and try to make it a profession, you have to be okay with the fact that it might not ever happen. And the threat of that should not be enough to stop you from doing it. You should have to do it. Like if I didn't make music, I would be miserable. If you don't feel that way about it, then you should probably do something else.
Where can people find your work?
Everywhere. Amazon, you could tell Alexa, hey, Alexa, play Kurt Stevens. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Vivo, CMT.com has some of my videos. Pretty much anywhere you can find music digitally, I'm there. My website's kurtstevensmusic.com. My social media handles are Kurt Stevens Official. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Kurt, for doing the interview. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for listening. As always, my intention is to offer you inspiration that excites you to want to get out there and create something amazing. Be sure to check out some of the other episodes, and if you like what you've heard, please help spread the word. Give this a thumbs up, subscribe, follow, and share with others. There's more information in the show notes, including links to other great stories, tips, and resources. Drop me a message or comment at any time, and I hope you will sign up to be a part of this creative tribe.